So for the last 4 years, I've been working with Multistory, and we've been exploring the Black Country. It started in the first year looking at Sandwell, and then we expanded it to Walsall, Wolverhampton, and then finally to Dudley. And the idea is to try and find places, situations, social scenes, do portraits that really tell us about contemporary life in the Black Country. And over that period of time, we've built up quite a good portrait about the Black Country, and we've been very conscious to try and not only represent the more traditional industries and activities in the area, but also to look at how the modern face of the Black Country looks, with things like Tesco's and petrol pumps and modern spas and gyms, to try and really give an overall representation of how the Black Country looks. So as I go shooting pictures, you inevitably do a lot more than you ever use. So what you finally do is make a short list, and that short list can be something in the region between, say, 400 and 800 pictures from the maybe 3, 4, 5,000 pictures you take. But then we actually realize that some of the pictures within the short list actually had great value, even if they're not incredibly good photographs. So we decided that it would be important to try and create an archive from each of the sections of the Black Country work. And this archive would then be presented in a box and fully captioned and labelled. It ranged between, say, 400 and 600 images. And this really would be a more thorough documentation of actually contemporary life in Sandwell, Dudley, Wolverhampton or Walsall. And these were then created and then given back to some of the partners who came in and shared the production and commission expenses on this project. And then from that, you would actually make a series of photographs that would be for the exhibition. So you take the 400 or 500 and you'd make an even tighter edit of, say, 30 to 40 pictures. And these would be shown very big, and they would be the exhibition, and then the archive would supplement that. So the two, if you like, work hand in hand, where the best photographs are taken out for the exhibition, but the archive is also presented, and they're 10:8 prints and all pinned on the wall when we present it, and also displayed in a box when it's given back to the community that's helped to produce it. One of the things I like about Multistory is it's a community arts association, and their priority is to ensure that the people that they film or photograph or write about or do work around are actually involved in the final process of looking at this work. And that's something I very much go along with. So it's always been very interesting for us, and absolutely essential part of the formula is to ensure that the projects are actually shown back to the people. So this is going to be a great opportunity to actually do that. In the first year of actually doing the commission, one of the things that we encountered was Teddy Gray's Sweet Factory, and we went there. I did a whole lot of stills, and then inevitably, therefore, the oral historian comes along later. But we actually thought it's such a remarkable place that the only way to really do justice to this is to actually make a film of it. So we then decided that we should try and make something like a 15-20 minute film about Teddy Gray. So we set that up for a period of 3 days, went in, filmed the whole process, talked to people, tried to give an impression of what this amazing company was like, and put that together as a film. And having succeeded in doing that, we then thought, if we found other stories that, if you like, deserved the attention and the narrative that a film can produce and develop, then we'd also find more subject matters for the films. I think the main difference between being a still photographer and making a film is that with a film you're always understanding that the narrative is the essential thing that drives the momentum of the film. So you're trying to find a story. So first you have to find a good story, and then you have to try and tell that story as clearly as possible. You need to have talking heads to lay on top of it, because I don't want to have a narrator. I want to just have the story unfold. So you need people talking and explaining what's going on, and then you follow the process. So often it's a journey. For example, we went with Mark Evans to sell his pigeons over in Mongolia. We went for a film called Turkey and Tinsel, where we took a party of pensioners with Holyhead coaches down to Weston-super-Mare for a Christmas in mid-November. And of course, a journey like that has a beginning, a middle and an end. And therefore, the whole story and momentum of the film is about trying to show that journey and to get to know the characters, identify them, talk to them. Again, having talking heads like the proprietor of the hotel over the film to try and explain the sort of story and the whole idea of the wider notion of Turkey and Tinsel movement, for want of a better word. I mean, the original reason why I wanted to make films is because when I'm out shooting and you're meeting people, you often get this incredible banter, incredible dialogue happening. And it often occurred to me that, if you like, would be worth recording. So that's, if you like, one reason why I started making films in the first place. And inevitably, therefore, if you apply that many years later, because I had quite a big gap in my filmmaking career, and when I applied that later in the Black Country, that same idea came forward of the dialogue, the banter, the involvement with people. And I think by putting in my questions and making sure that my presence is there, an integral part of the film, you're able to build up the character, and you're able to build up better to explain my relationship to the subject. And that to me is quite essential part of the filmmaking process. So I can't imagine making a film without your voice being part of it, because the thing that originally made me want to do this was the dialogue and the quality of the conversation that unfolded, and often the unpredictability of that. And that's the thing that really is, to me, absolutely crucial and key to the success, I hope, of these films. As well as the exhibition, to complement that, we're actually producing a book with Dowie Lewis, and this will be maybe something like 110 of the photographs from the 4-year period. And of course, that'll be available in the bookshop. We'll be giving anyone who shows up, who's had their portrait taken, a copy of the book. And also it gives the work an opportunity to travel beyond the Black Country. So it'll be for sale in New York, London, Paris, all the other places where people really appreciate photography. So I like this idea of the working on a sort of local level, but also being international at the same time. And I think those two can complement each other quite well. And often you'll find work generally has one audience or the other. So I'm very much in favour of taking the opportunity to combine these two audiences together with one project. We could have gone on for another 10, 20 years. You know, it's almost frustrating that even after 4 years, which is a substantial amount of time, you now have to close the door and then present the work. But there's a limit to the funding and to the time that people have. I think now we've come to a very good conclusion about this journey that I've had through this remarkable place called the Black Country.